Hello, everyone. So today our presentation focuses on the global climate series, but not just from an environmental perspective. We look at a system problem shaped by energy structures, economic power, and global inequality. So climate change is often discussed as a problem of technology. We heard that renewable energy is cheaper, faster, and more efficient than ever. So the natural question is, if clean energy is growing so fast, why are emissions still rising? This contradiction is the starting point of our research. So our core question is, the climate change, why the global energy transition failed to reduce fossil fuel dependence at scale. To answer this, we step back from individual countries and look at the global energy system as a whole. So we analyze the global dataset covering the first, energy production by fuel type. Second, country-level energy growth. Third, fossil and renewable shared. And the last, energy consumption per capita. Instead of focusing on single year, we emphasize long-term trend because climate change is driven by accumulated emissions, not short-term change. So let's start with the world map. Okay, so we immediately stand out is that coal and oil dominate most regions. Even countries labeled as green leader still rely heavily on fossil fuel. The United States, China, and Russia appear repeatedly as central players, not only as customers, but also as product producers. This tells us something important. The climate series is deeply connected to energy power and the geopolitical scale. So, from the very beginning, the data suggests that the problem is not lack of innovation, the problem is not structure dependence. To understand how this dependence persists, we now turn to the data story.
Thank you. Now I will lead you to walk through how the data tells. So is the system changing? Let's look at the history. This chart shows the global energy consumption of the last 13 years. Look at this mass base layer, coal, oil, and gas. The critical finding here is inertia. The base is not shrinking, expanding. And now look at this green layer at the top. That is renewable energy. The data shows that we are currently in a phase of energy addition, not a substitution. We are simply stacking green energy on top of a growing mountain of fossil fuel to meet rising demand. The foundation of the global economy remains carbon heavy. And the next page, uh, so now let's dig deeper into why this inertia exists. We call this chart the fossil fuel addiction analysis. We define a critical threshold here, the 80% dependency line. If you look at the top right, you see the world's big three, China, US, and Russia. They are all trapped above this red line. This means the world's larger economy doesn't just produce energy. They are structurally addicted to the fossil fuel. As long as these key players remain in this high addiction zone, a rapid global transition is structurally impossible. And this next page. But what about technology? Isn't it saving us? We look at the speed of change, taking China as a best example. China shows like a J curve on the renewable energies growth. This yellow line is China renewable generation post 2010. It looks like a vertical takeoff, a massive surge. It's an engineering miracle. But here is the paradox. Look at the carbon emissions trend above it. It didn't drop. It kept rising. This proves a harsh reality. Scale beats speed. The hunger for energy is going so fast that even exponential green growth is barely keeping up. It's not enough to turn the tide. And the next page. However, the crisis isn't just about technology and the fossil fuel dominance. It's about inequality. This is our most critical findings. The world is sharply divided into two: the privileged North, which is we highlighted in red, and the struggling South, which we highlighted in gray. Our data revealed a shocking statistic. One American consumes as much as energy as 39 Nigerians. While the North discusses lifestyle changes, the South is fighting for survival. We cannot expect developing nations to pay for a transition they cannot afford. This energy divide is the biggest political barrier we face. And the next page is about the failure and the solution. So, if the South cannot afford a transition, who is paying for it? We remember that in like 2020 and 15, the Paris Agreement promised that the global North should support 100 billion to the global South per year to helping them develop the renewable energy. So let's look at the dashed line on the top. That was the target. So we can see that the global is merely to meet the target. This is the reality. We are nowhere near the target. We're nowhere near the target. The promise is broken, but it gets worse. Look at the tree man below. Where does the limited money go? It flows to scale, big economy like India and China. But the poorest nations, like in the red zone, get almost nothing. So capital is biased. It follows market size, not the human need. And here we come to the solution. My teammates will discuss about that.
Okay, thank you. Based on our findings, we believe incremental change is not enough. The climate crisis requires systematic intervention. First, I will speak solution one, a global carbon tax. Our first proposal is a global carbon tax. Currently, fossil fuels appear cheap because they true costs. Healthy damage, environmental destruction, climate risk are externalities. A global carbon tax would first internalize those hidden costs. Second, reduce carbon leakage between countries. Third, create a stable source of climate finance. Without a global framework, national efforts remain fragmented. Solution two, green technology transfer. Second, we need green technology transfer. Many clean technologies exist, but first, they are locked behind the patents. Second, they are unaffordable for developing countries. Third, access depends on political alliances. This creates a technology divided. If the global south cannot access green technology, global emissions will continue to rise, regardless of progress in rich countries. Solution two, reforming global climate finance. Third, we must reform global financial institutions. The promised 100 billion per year for climate finance has never been delivered. Current systems are first, slow, bureaucratic, biased toward larger economies. True reform means first, faster approval, second, greater representation, third, funding based on vulnerability, not GDP. The next page. Final takeaway, our conclusion is clear. The climate crisis is not just a technological structure, economic, and the political problem. Without addressing power, equality, and capital basis, the energy transition will remain incomplete. Thank you.